All right, NVIDIA has reached that milestone number, that 200 psychological level, and closed above just shy of 202 at around 201 in some chains. We're going to talk about it today, why that happened, as Jensen Huang spoke today at the GTC conference of 2025 in Washington, D.C. He outlined some extreme partnerships that if you miss this NVIDIA push into 200, I do believe we have higher, especially with rate cuts, things of that nature. But the risk to reward, right? You could trade the momentum on it. But we're going to talk about other companies that you may want to look out for coming forth with their earnings with this partnership news. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Hopefully you're doing absolutely amazing. My name is Dr. B. You can check out more about me down below, and also my social media platforms, my Instagram, TikTok, and so on and so forth. I post a lot for the trading purposes on TikTok, not TikTok, but on Twitter. So go ahead and follow the Twitter page if you want some trade ideas or just some news around the stock market on Twitter. All right. Without further ado, let's jump into the news and see what we got going. I'm going to pump out another video right after this one this evening for some trade ideas that we may have for the overall market, but this is specifically over NVIDIA. All right. So we have the first news, which was monstrous, which Eli Lilly partners with NVIDIA on AI supercomputer to speed up and help recovery, drug discovery, and shorten development time. So this is going to be awesome, as many companies are trying to figure out a way how they can speed up their processes, how they can include AI into their business models. And now we have NVIDIA, not that it's the first time, but going into the biggest, if not the biggest, drug development company in the world. So this one is a major partnership, and just one reason why NVIDIA shot to the moon above 200 today. Okay, so that is one. The next one we've got is NVIDIA strengthens its partnership. Let's go here and get all these ads out of the way. Apologize for that. Partnership with Uber and Palantir. So Palantir has already been on the rise, obviously, but Uber is a chart that I love. Obviously, people are looking at Lyft for long-term leaps and shares because Lyft hasn't taken off as of yet to that $50, $100 mark like Uber has. But Uber still has more upside as it's trying to mount itself over $100 per share. Right now it's sitting right at that 93 to 95 range. And I do believe that this consolidating for a big move as its earnings is approaching. So keep a lookout for Uber with this partnership news coming into their earnings. So that 91 to 95 range is a nice area of consolidation that Uber has been holding, and I'll show you on the charts in just a moment. Palantir, let's look at this on the news. So GTC conference in Washington, D.C. Companies such as Uber, Palantir, and Nokia that span supercomputer, robotics, telecom, and autonomous vehicles. These reflect NVIDIA's growing role as a central force empowering AI infrastructure. So as the largest company in the world, market cap wise, NVIDIA, and I personally love Jensen Huang. I think he's an awesome CEO. I think he speaks well to the space of AI, the truth, whether it's, hey, you know, we're just seeing the beginning and you need to get off your high horse, or that we have many more things to come and we're just starting. Okay. So let's jump into a little bit more here. Jensen Huang, he says, graphics processing units, the company's fastest AI chips, are now in full production in Arizona. Previously, NVIDIA's fastest GPUs were solely manufactured in Taiwan. So this conversation around President Trump moving US-based companies and being produced in the US is now kind of coming into fruition with the tariffs. This is also a positive thing because many people were concerned about, hey, you're leaving China, you Taiwan Semiconductors, you're having other production sites. How are you going to sustain if we do have some tariff backlash? And now we've got some full production in Arizona for their top graphics processing units. Earlier this month, NVIDIA and TSM, or Taiwan Semiconductor, announced that the first Blackwell wafers have been produced in a facility in Arizona. NVIDIA said in a video that Blackwell-based systems will now be assembled in the U.S. too, much of what the company announced on Tuesday at the conference, and that would hurt U.S. interest to restrict its exports. So Trump said on Tuesday he planned to meet with Huang on Wednesday, according to the Reuters report. So not only did Jensen Huang speak today at the conference, but if you see here, today at the time of this recording, it's Tuesday. So even tomorrow, we could have even more positive news as President Trump is going to be speaking with the Nvidia CEO. So look out for more upside as long as Nvidia holds above that 200 psychological level. We could see that 205 and then 210 mark before it may get just slightly exhausted for a pullback. All right. So look at a little bit more upside, manage that 200 base to go up to the upside a little bit more. Got shares. Awesome. I'm talking to my traders out there. All right. Let's see here if we've got anything there. Let's look at Nvidia. And Jensen, this is probably the single most important enterprise stack in the world, the Palantir ontology. All right, so I haven't really looked too much in there, but we've got CrowdStrike on there. We've got Palantir on there, obviously Uber, Eli Lilly. So all these partnerships, every partnership that has been announced at this GTC conference, you want to look into those companies as far as the trading purposes go. Long-term shares, yes, a lot of them have already been booming, but if any of them are at a decent buy level or a level for trading, take a look at them and we'll look at them on the charts. All right. So without further ado, let's go where the money is made. And the first one that I want to look at is Uber. Okay. Is Uber. And the reason being is because Uber has broken and is starting to mount above this 86 level. Okay. As you can see, let me move all these lines off of here. And if you're new to the channel, you're coming on here and this is your first time, the money is on the charts. So if we can find levels on the charts, then they'll associate with the news or the fundamentals, as we call it. As you can see here, Uber is mounting above this level here. Mounting above simply means we had a previous resistance, couldn't get above that 87, back down, and now we're mounting above this 87. Okay, it's also holding a nice 9 EMA here, okay, on a weekly as well as the monthly time frame. And if we go on to a couple more moving averages on a daily, right, we can see there that this is where big money has been continuously stacking, right? So the big buy area is if somehow Uber or the market pulls back slightly and Uber gets down back into around 86 to 87. That'd be awesome to go higher. That'd be kind of the best case scenario. Now, Brian, what if you don't get that and it just continues this upside channel here? Okay. Another level you want Uber to watch and hold before its earnings is this area here. Do you see this high volume node over to my right that's produced right there on a daily? So this 91 to 93 level, which is what I was saying at the beginning of the video, right? So this area could catapult Uber and have it looking something like this into its earnings if Uber and when Uber, in my opinion, has a good earnings report. So that's how I would ultimately look. Let me turn that green for you for my visual folks. That's how I'm envisioning Uber to look. This is the best buy area here, but as long as we hold up these cluster of moving averages, we've got this 100, daily 100, and we've got a cross and a coverage of the daily 50 and daily 20. Okay. So just kind of want to watch this zone to see how it reacts. Do we get sellers that come through here or do we get more bounces upside? All right. So keep an eye on Uber. I think it looks really good. Their earnings is on the 4th. Okay. So next week we have Uber earnings. Could be some accumulation of Uber headed into their earnings after this announcement. Another one. Let's look at Eli Lilly. Okay. Eli Lilly also has earnings next, actually on Thursday, Thursday, the 30th. So this one's already kind of been forming into a bull flag in of itself. Okay. So if Eli Lilly produces good earnings, as we know, healthcare has been lagging behind accumulation of healthcare. Eli Lilly here has been forming somewhat of a bull flag push, drive, and sitting here and looking for that upside if earnings guidance, everything goes well. This Nvidia news also is another positive catalyst that could take Eli Lilly to the upside. Target would be back into this 950, and ultimate target, as Eli Lilly does have $100 moves at times, could be that into that $1,000 level. Okay. Could be into that $1,000 level. If you can see that big kind of bullish consolidation here. The levels you want to watch for it to hold is that 7 weekly level would be right here. I'll just say that 800 level would be a nice psych level for it to hold. As you can see, it's trying to hold and holding above 800. Okay, so just sitting on top of these moving averages here. The daily 20 sitting right there, daily moving average there of the 50, 100 cross. That is a catapult kind of move if everything goes well for earnings. We do also have some gaps to fill at the top here. So Eli Lilly, top watch, big mover. If you already have shares, awesome. If you are a person that trades, can look at call options. They are a little bit more pricey, and you got to watch the IV crush on them. So if you enter anything before earnings reports, these contracts on their earnings calls could be a little bit deflated, and it's also risky because it could fall. We don't know, right? But I don't project Eli Lilly to have poor earnings based on this chart. All right, so there's another one. Let's look at Palantir, see how it is. I believe it broke out of its consolidation today. It did. So we had this bullish consolidation here on Palantir, right? If you want to look at it from a structural standpoint, this is a cup, handle, breakout. Okay, for those that don't know what a cup and a handle looks like, there was one on the SPY, okay, back in 2023. So there's a cup. All right, there's a handle. And then what happens after that? It typically takes off and breaks out new highs. All right, so Palantir, after that news, right, and on a bullish structural move here, is trying to break out of this monthly and into new highs. So if Palantir gets above this 193, you really have nothing up until 200. All right, so that's your next psych level, very similar levels to Nvidia. Okay. So watch Palantir on any pullbacks. If it's holding 190, that is now your level of support on Palantir. Do have some gaps below, but 190 would be your support level. Excuse me, not 190, 187. 187. All right. So keep your eye on Palantir for a potential takeoff as it's building some strength from this consolidation move. Big bounce there, catapulted out to go higher. All right. And finally, the whole video that was this about, what do you do with this Nvidia move from here? Okay. So for anyone that's in shares, congratulations. Anyone that is in long-term leap options that are calls at least a year out, congratulations. That's awesome. Right. But also there's short-term price action that can happen from this big move. Okay. So one thing that we can do, we can get some levels, right? Let me go to what we call a Fibonacci extension. And let me grab it from the bottom of there. I'm on a daily time frame to the top. Grab it to this pullback level. And do you see it presents some levels? Okay. So that 208 level, and you can see a little bit of stickiness of why I got stuck around 203-ish. Okay. So you can go ahead and kind of mark these levels yourself. All right, there it is. There's another one. And I like to typically mark my intermediate levels in yellow. And then the bottom one right here, if it fell all the way back down, but it would have to fail back underneath that pivot level of 195. Okay. So there are your Fibonacci extensions, some levels to the upside that you may want to look for if momentum continues with Nvidia. All right. So you can see it over to the side. There's 217 or rounded up to 220. There's 208. And this is a tool that you can use, that traders use to see levels when we break into new all-time highs. All right. Now, you have to watch the next video to see the update for the entirety of the market, which you'll be having tonight. But if we have another push to the highs, I do believe there will be slight profit taking as we have Fed Powell speaking tomorrow. So thank you all so much for listening into this NVIDIA update of what happened. Exciting news in the AI and chip space, semiconductor space, going into a bullish November. Be careful at the end of this month because they may want to drive it down to ride it back to the highs. So if you get a pullback, watch for that pullback, be patient, take your trade, assess your risk, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace, love, and blessings. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Till next time.